Terry, this is different.
Yes, it is.
So normally we're doing some interviews.
That is
And
correct.
if you followed the Golden Broom for a long time, we generally have sports shows. Um, but Terry's been working his butt off to get us some interviews and build us some credibility in the coaching circles and whatnot, so that maybe later on down the road, some of this will be carry more legitimacy when we're doing stuff. So we're doing a show today on sports. Are you ready to talk sports, Terry?
Ready as I'll be.
As ready as you'll be, huh? So, Terry, this is kind of new ground for him because he's a Big Ten, Pac-12 guy because of his roots with UCLA.
You could go even further back, say Pac-10.
And the Pac-10, yep, sure enough. But today we are doing our SEC preview. And in that, we're going to discuss some things like offensive production, defensive production, projected quarterbacks, difficult places to play. We got a fun show for you. But first, I got to know, Terry, what's it like doing a deep dive on a conference you know a little bit about, but not a lot about?
Well, I mean, I'll admit I didn't do too much research. I mean, I didn't do too much research on the Big Ten, as well either. Just, been busy with almost pretty much keeping my mind on interviews and stuff, and never really looked into the, I guess, say rankings. Mostly with, I've kept an eye on rankings for recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
Been keeping a close eye on that, and it seems like next year, class of 27. I mean, it's happy to say that UCLA is actually getting a strong class so far for 2027.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm happy, excited. I'm actually going to have one of their guys on Terrible Talk Sports here in sometime in August. He's a 4-star defensive back, which I'll go over another time.
I got you. So you bring up rankings. So let's kick this thing off with some rankings, right?
Yep.
So every year, ESPN does their FPI rankings, right? That's their power index. We have ESPN SEC FPI rankings. And this is the preseason power rankings where they think every team's going to land. So let's talk about it. What's the first thing you see on here?
Well, I could see 1 and 2 alternating for starters. I would give the slight edge for number 2 being number 1 because they've kind of had Texas's number for the most part since joining.
Mm-hmm.
One that jumps out, another one is number 4 LSU. I know there's going to be a lot of excitement down there in Baton Rouge due to Lane Kiffin being there. And honestly, I would probably keep them there because, he is a great coach. He did a great job at Ole Miss, even though they left on really bad terms.
So for me, the one that sticks out is Alabama at 3.
Do you feel like they're too high or they should be lower?
I think that's really, really high. I mean, after all, they did lose their first round NFL draft quarterback, Ty Simpson. They lost their number 1 running back. They lost their top 2 wide receivers. I'm not sure what ESPN is seeing in them to have them this high on their power rankings.
How'd they do with the transfer portal?
I really didn't look at transfer portal ratings.
Because I'm wondering who they brought in. Because, I mean, they never have a problem, it seems like, when it comes to high school recruits. But I know lately ever since the transfer portal during the NIL era, they haven't reloaded as well as they would before when they were hoarding players.
Yeah.
I mean, I would even go out and limb say I would actually put LSU at number 3.
Another one that sticks out to me is Mississippi State. That team last year lost more one-score games than anybody in the country. They've been very, very close. They can score with anybody. They'll put up 30, 40 points a game, just about every game.
Mm-hmm.
I think 16 is a slap in the face to those guys.
I would probably move them up 2 spots. So I would put them at 14 and then move 14 and 15 over to the right one. I would have Arkansas. You know what? I would probably put Kentucky dead last, if I'm gonna be real.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
That's a bold take, I know, but were they one of the ones part of that coaching carousel?
Kentucky, yes, they were. So was Arkansas.
Yeah, I know. Who did Arkansas get? I forgot. I know it was a decent name coach.
Arkansas got, I can't even think of his name. They hired the former head coach at Memphis.
And Memphis didn't have too bad of a year last year.
They haven't been bad, but I'm just not so sure that that's the right move. Because he was handed a team that was in the running for the playoffs, and he's gotten nowhere close. So I'm not sure that's the right move.
Well, I mean, they saw something they wanted to hire him with, but who did Kentucky get?
Kentucky got the Oregon offensive coordinator, Will Stein.
Now, here's my concern with that. I mean, yes, Oregon is a phenomenal team. They've had great coordinators that, if you look at their defensive coordinator that just took the head coaching job at Cal. But if we've seen Oregon against SEC teams in the past, they always seem like they were undersized.
And they struggled.
And now we got their coordinator coming to Kentucky, which isn't one of the premier programs. It might have had better luck if, say, Florida would have got them. But
probably
there's going to be a lot of growing pains, and that's why I think Will Stein's going to struggle at Kentucky his first year, and then maybe bring some recruits from Oregon, wherever the case may be. But I don't think this is – I could see Kentucky finishing dead last, right below Arkansas and Mississippi State.
Okay. So that's the power rankings. So it's interesting that they have all these power rankings. There's another one that they did. Let's check out some schedules. Here's On3 ESPN. Toughest schedules in college football for 2026. Something here sticks out like a sore thumb.
Well, we discussed it earlier. Realized the whole conference is in the top 20.
The entire SEC is in the top 20 for toughest schedules.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what other conference is represented here? There's only 2 conferences in the top 20 in the toughest schedules.
Well, I do see the 4 Big Ten teams.
The 4 Big Ten teams. So your top 20 toughest schedules are 16 SEC teams combined with Ohio State, Michigan, Northwestern, and Southern Cal.
Boo.
That's insane. So when people say the SEC doesn't play anybody, nah, bro, I beg to differ. This would The SEC is brutal, and now they've added a 9th game.
So they're still doing 12 games, right?
Doing 12 games, 9 conference games, and here's the kicker. The SEC is the only conference in America that mandates that every team play a Power 4 school in an out-of-conference game.
Interesting.
Now, the Big Ten, there are a lot of teams in the Big Ten that do that, but it's not mandated by the Big Ten, and the whole conference doesn't do it. So the whole reason we're going to 9 games is because the Big Ten's been crying that the SEC doesn't play 9 conference games. Well, no, we were playing 9 Power 4 games anyway. Now we're playing 10.
Mm-hmm.
If teams in the SEC get into the playoffs, they've earned their spot.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of wild to see that. Normally, what you'll see is Vanderbilt and South Carolina have typically been in the top 3 or 4 every single year.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt's gotten very competitive lately and makes that schedule look a little bit easier.
Well, I wonder if now, because of the result of that, adding a 9th conference game, and this is the end result of that because of that.
Definitely. Because it's absolutely murder's row when you play in the SEC because you don't get a break.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't get a break. So that's interesting to see as well. So those are the rankings so far that I've found. I don't know. Let's go ahead and touch on media days real quick. As you know, it's media days. It's Monday morning. We're dropping our video giving the prediction. And the reason we're doing this on Monday morning is because today's media days. So let's take a quick look at the schedule, and then we're going to share with you who you can expect to see from each team. So let's take a look at the schedule real quick. Of course, today you're going to have Kentucky, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Tennessee. I think Kentucky will be interesting just because Will Stein and they brought in a transfer quarterback and they're trying to set things back in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'll be interesting to hear what Will Stein has for that program. With Eli Drinkowitz at Missouri, you know that you're going to get some one-liners. He's not afraid to talk and say some things.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to get much out of Brett Venables at Oklahoma. He's just not a big talker. Josh Heupel, it's going to be interesting to hear him talk. And part of that is he can't comment on them. But Tennessee is one of the 3 finalists for the number 1 running back in the country in high school football. Dallas Gabriel Georges from Chattanooga Baylor. And they're in competition with Ohio State. Now, he can't talk about that, but it's going to be interesting to hear him talk about his quarterback room. He's got 2 former 5-stars, Brandon Faison, the freshman, George McIntyre, the sophomore, that are battling for that starting quarterback position. It's going to be fascinating to hear him talk about how they're going to manage that. On Tuesday, you're going to have Auburn, who has a new coach, Alex Golis.
He was out of where?
He came in from South Florida, and he went to South Florida. He was the offensive coordinator at Tennessee when they went 11-2.
That was a couple years ago, right?
That was in 2022, I believe.
Okay.
When Hendon Hooker was the quarterback, had put together a Heisman-type season and got left out of the Heisman voting because he injured his knee a couple weeks before the end of the year.
Gotcha.
But Alex Golesh, he took over a 2-10 South Florida team, and their first game, they went into Bryant-Denny Stadium and gave Nick Saban and Alabama all they could handle and then some. But if you remember, Golesh also beat Alabama as the offensive coordinator at Tennessee. So it seems like he's got something figured out against the Tide. And he brought
Saban's no longer there.
Right. And he brought with him his star quarterback, Byron Brown, who put up fantastic numbers at South Florida last year. And early in the season was being mentioned as a possible Heisman candidate. So it's going to be interesting to see what he's got planned for that program. I'm really big on Alex Golesh and Byron Brown, so I'll be paying attention. Georgia, you got Kirby Smart. He's probably going to say something, and everybody's going to be like, ooh, did you hear what Kirby said today? He does it every year.
This one interests me right here with South Carolina, though, because I know a lot of people felt that he should not even be there right now.
Yes.
And how his pro day is going to be, or not pro day, his media day is going to be, what he's going to have to say. And
a lot of heat in that seat for sure.
Yeah.
He did bring in some coordinators. Offensive coordinator Kendall Briles. Let's see what he can do with Lenore Sellers. We saw Sellers take a step backwards last year. He just didn't have good coaching.
Yeah.
We'll see what he does with Kendall, what Briles can do with him. And, of course, the one I'm going to pay the most attention to, Vanderbilt, Clark Lee, going on day 2, closing up the day. And here's the thing. In 2021, when he went to his first media days, he made a statement that everybody laughed at him about. We're here to win championships. Everybody laughed at him because it's Vanderbilt. They don't win championships, right?
Yeah. Well, so much like for football at the moment, they've done in other sports, but like baseball and everything.
But everybody laughed at him. And then his first year, he goes 2-10. His second year, he goes back to media days for the second time in 22. This isn't good enough. In 22, they go 5-7. They miss a bowl game by 1 game. And then they bring everybody back in 23. They start out 2-0. Things are looking good. And then they proceed to lose 10 straight games by double digits, every single one. They're 2-10. And he had to take a look and make some hard decisions and look himself in the mirror and say, yeah, I'm not getting it done. This is not okay. Brought in an assistant coach, brought in some transfers. We know the rest of the story. Diego Pavia, Eli Stowers, Jerry Kill, and absolutely changed the culture at Vanderbilt. And even last year, he said, our goal is to win a national championship. So 2 out of the 4 years he's been in media days, he said, we're going to win a championship. So I want to hear what he says this year. 10-3, best record in the history of the conference. You lose your brash quarterback that talked all the mess, but backed it up on the field. And we'll get into some more numbers there. I want to see what his plan is. I want to see what he has to say to the press. His name was mentioned for multiple jobs last year that he turned down to stay at Vanderbilt. And we're talking big-time jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And he stayed there. That's home for him. I'm not going anywhere. But the commitment has to stay with the administration. So
yeah, because they had the final say overall. So
yes. On Wednesday, day 3, Kalen DeBoer, you got to think he's feeling the pressure after the way Indiana handled Alabama in the playoffs. You got to think he's feeling some pressure. He's lost his quarterback. He's lost his running back. What's his plan for 2026?
The one that gets me with this one, though, is 2 teams. So John Sumrall coming over from Tulane.
Yep.
I know there's going to be some growing pains there, but I think he's a breath of fresh air that Florida needed because the other guys seem kind of like dead in the water. And I'm glad Ole Miss kept Pete Golding even after Kiffin left. So I'm happy they kept him. What's that?
He deserved an opportunity to lead that program.
I mean, yeah, because even after Kiffin left, I'm pretty sure a lot of people figured that was it, meltdown, they implode. But
yep,
they almost got him to the championship game. They had that last second play that I know some people were crying for pass interference and everything, which could have changed a lot of stuff. But those are the 2 teams I'm excited for day 3.
Yeah,
A&M is always over here. A lot of people call A&M Texas little brother because even if they have a good year, it's like they'll still choke it away.
Right.
One way or another.
I'm anxious to see Texas A&M as well. I'll get more into the player stuff when we bring up players. I'm expecting big things out of Texas A&M this year. We'll get into that later. And the final day, Thursday, Ryan Silverfield, Arkansas. What people don't understand, since 2011, Arkansas has more winless seasons in the SEC than any other program. They have more last place finishes in the SEC since 2011 than any other program. What is his plan to change that? Because prior to that, Arkansas was a national power. They were ranked in the top 6 and playing in BCS bowl games. So what's his plan to turn that back around?
Remind me again where he came from.
Silverfield's the one that came from Memphis.
Okay, that's right.
The big story on day 2 is obviously going to be Lane Kiffin. You know you're going to get some sound bites out of him.
He pretty much overshadows that whole day.
He does easily. Jeff Lebby at Mississippi State. When he got the job, everybody knew this was not going to be a 1 or 2 year fix. He inherited a mess. And I don't think he's done badly there.
Mm-hmm.
But this is year 3. You got to start showing proof of concept. So this is a big year for him. And then you got Sarkisian from Texas.
So this one I see going pretty like laid back, conservative interviews. Like I don't see him being up there for that much time. Or do they have a certain like a minimum amount of time they have to meet?
I don't know how they do it. Some coaches, they'll get up and give a 10-minute speech and then they'll take the questions. Some will give a 2-minute speech. And we're Texas. We're expected to be good. We're expecting to win championships. Give me your questions. Some coaches will do that.
The way I'm expecting it to go, Arkansas, I'm expecting him to be super excited about the opportunity. I expected him to talk about that a lot. Lane Kiffin's going to have probably everything thrown at him.
Everything
going to be thrown at him because I said that's what I see. He's going to overshadow. Jeff Levy is, like you said, he inherited a mess. I'm sure there might be some mention of that. Mm-hmm. What he's going to do to adjust that. And Steve Sarkisian is probably going to be the chillest one there. Go in, just handle business, and then just focus on how he's going to get Arch Manning to get them to the playoffs.
Right. I'm sure he's going to get some questions about not meeting expectations, which is fair.
Yeah.
But it'll be neat to see what all these coaches have to say. That's your coaches lineup for those days. So let's take a look at the player lineups and who everybody's bringing. Right off the bat, Alabama. I'm interested in Ryan Williams.
Was he the one that was like
He was the 17-year-old freshman that made all.
That's the one I was going to ask too.
Huge plays 2 years ago, and just did not live up to preseason hype last year.
So
he really did.
You said 2 years ago. Does that mean he's in his junior year now?
This will be his junior year.
You think if he doesn't live up to the hype, could you see him transferring out?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Like maybe go to a smaller school, put up big numbers there to maybe up his draft stock at this point?
Because he's got the talent. He had the dropsies last year. He had the yips.
So sophomore slump.
Yeah. You got Arkansas. I'll be honest. I don't know any of these names.
Well, I'm depending on you.
Caden Kittler, Quincy Rhodes Jr., and Sutton Smith will be representing Arkansas. And the fun part about all these players, right, is they get to do the podium and the interviews and the questions. But then it's all the backroom discussions. They have a back room there where all these players go into after they make their appearance. And it's in the back room where you get really in-depth with some of these players. And then they have media row. You just got rows and rows of media and radio stations and everything where they'll come out and they'll do radio interviews. So it's really neat for these players to do all this. Yeah. I got to get to know some of these kids from Arkansas because I don't know anybody on that team. I'll be honest. So it's going to be interesting to watch them. Auburn's bringing Champ Anthony, defensive back, Byron Brown, the quarterback that I mentioned earlier, and Alex McPherson, who is a kicker. It's rare that you.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It's rare that you get a kicker representing the school at media days.
Is he related to the Bengals kicker?
I have no idea.
Because let me see. Hold on. Because I could have sworn the Bengals kicker that kicked that game-winning field goal against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game to go to the Super Bowl. I think his last name was also McPherson.
It'd be interesting if they were related.
Let me see. Yep. I was right. So his brother is Evan McPherson. He is
Okay.
the place kicker for the Cincinnati Bengals. He actually has two brothers that are kickers, by the way.
Okay.
Evan being one of them, and his older brother Logan. He previously kicked for Fort Payne High School and punted for Louisiana Tech University. Okay, that guy's a punter.
Okay. That's
But,
interesting.
yeah.
But like I said, it's rare that you get a kicker representing a school at media days. So that will be a treat.
I wonder if they just had nobody else, or if there's something that we don't know about this guy.
Well, honestly, he's one of the top 10 kickers in America.
Yeah.
I can see why they're bringing him. It's going to be a treat. I want to hear a kicker talk at media days.
Yeah.
Florida, bringing Jaden Baugh, Miles Graham, Vernell Brown. Graham and Brown were some highly rated recruits when they came in there. They just haven't lived up. I don't know if that's because they just weren't as good as advertised, or if that was an effect of Sunbelt Billy not being a very good coach. It'll be interesting to see. Want to hear them talk a little bit. And here's where we get fun time at Georgia. Drew Bobo. Yes, that's a relative of Mike Bobo, who absolutely gets shredded on social media as an offensive coordinator. Mike Bobo's offense doesn't work. Yeah, well, this is a relative of Mike Bobo. Gunnar Stockton. This will be his second year as a starter. And if you remember, he took over this program under less than ideal circumstances. They were in the college football playoff semifinals against Notre Dame. And he started that game as it was wild where he took over the program. Hear him talk.
Did his original start happen against Texas, though, in the regular season because the previous quarterback got hurt in that game?
He came in, he didn't start the game, he came into the game.
Yeah, okay. Who did they have? I forget the kid's name who was originally starting.
The one that transferred to Miami last year. I can't remember his name.
Oh, okay.
Carson Beck.
Yes.
So, but he comes into the playoffs, starts that game against Notre Dame. He didn't play terribly, but this will be year 2 as a starter. You might see some explosiveness out of him this year. It'd be interesting to hear him talk. Over at Kentucky, you have Ty Bryant, who is absolutely one of the best safeties in the country. Kenny Minchie. He's a junior. And Willie Rodriguez. Kenny Minchie has another story. He's a junior. He's thrown 29 career passes and got paid $2 million to transfer to Kentucky after he got beat out by a freshman at Notre Dame last year. We'll see what Will Stein can do with him. And then I'll let you read off these names on the second row.
All right, so over here, LSU, we got linebacker TJ Daugherty, tight end Trey Des Green, and linebacker Whit Weeks. Not too familiar with any of those. I might have Trey Des Green sounds familiar of the three that I might have heard of. I haven't heard the other two, I will be honest.
Whit Weeks is dating Lane Kiffin's daughter. Did you expect him not to show up?
Yeah. And these are all the same days the coaches, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now the one this one will get some a lot of questions asked about over at Ole Miss is Trinidad Chambliss.
Yep.
Because of all the, and I'll have to tell you something about that stuff later when it comes to eligibility stuff. Will Eccles and Kawan Lacey I mean, we'll see how if it was all Lane Kiffin or if Golding did remember a thing or two and see if they can go as far, which I don't think they will.
Mm-hmm.
But, you never know. I know a lot of people didn't expect them to make as far as they did because of all the turmoil that was going on.
Yep.
Let's see, Mississippi State here. We have Anthony Evans III, wide receiver, Kelly Jones at corner, and Kamario Taylor, quarterback. I'm not sure is he a transfer as well?
He's a transfer in.
Where did he come in from?
I don't know where he came from. I just know that he transferred in. Kelly Jones transferred in as well. And that's the thing with Mississippi State.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Levy is what they call a quarterback whisperer. He can get the best out of quarterbacks. But offense wasn't their problem. Defense was the problem.
Yeah.
I want to see what Kelly Jones is all about, because he comes in with a lot of hype and a lot of expectations to make that defense a lot better.
Let's see. No, I don't think it's a transfer.
He's not a transfer. Okay.
He came in as a four-star recruit. He actually came out of high school straight into Mississippi State.
Okay. The heir apparent then.
Wait, hold on. No, yeah. So what it was, we didn't really hear about him first because he didn't start his first year. He was a backup to Blake Shapen.
Yep.
So that's okay. Now this one's my buddy's team. The only one I know. This wasn't the one that was injured, correct? The shooting incident.
No, this is not the one that was injured.
Okay. Caden Green, Jamal Roberts, Nicholas Rodriguez. And it's weird because you don't really hear much about Missouri, unless we're talking to you about it.
Mm-hmm.
But they somehow find a way to still at least get bowl eligible and give people a run for their money.
Absolutely. Surprisingly, since they came into the SEC, they've been to the SEC championship 4 times. Quietly. Nobody realizes that.
Since joining, you said?
Yeah.
Dude, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that till the other day, but that happened quietly.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of surprised they're not bringing Ahmad Hardy for media days.
Well, apparently. I don't blame them, and here's why. Because of what happened, I think they just want to, let them kind of sit this one out, relax, and just focus on putting up those yards. Because I could see something like this going south with somebody asking the wrong question, and then you get bad publicity over it. So I would agree with Missouri not bringing him, because I'm pretty sure even though he's recovered and everything, I'm pretty sure he's going to be splitting the loads with Jamal Roberts here, just because they don't want to overdo it just because of what happened to him. So, I'd say good on Missouri for doing that, just to keep the publicity off him, because there's already enough schools that are going to have some publicity within this chart here.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, well, let's just keep doing what we're doing, stay under the radar, out of everyone's sights, and then boom, we're just coming out of nowhere, kind of undermine people on our way to probably their 5th SEC championship game when no one expected it, so who knows?
So you mentioned that about Missouri being that way with Hardy. I did see a report today that LSU has done the same thing with Sam Leavitt, the quarterback that transferred in, that he missed most of the spring because he was still recovering from the foot injury that he had at Arizona State. And they didn't want media days to be his first public appearance. So that's why they didn't bring Sam Leavitt to media days.
Yeah.
I have to respect it.
And then I know there was the whole thing of, about mention of possible tampering.
Yeah.
So I know they want to avoid that because as it is, you got Lane Kiffin there. There's already going to be enough. So they probably just pick these three guys just to kind of like, okay, we got these three guys. However, Lane Kiffin's going to get the brunt of that storm that's going to be coming in. And so I say it's a smart strategy as far as team chemistry and everything and keeping their, heads right.
Mm-hmm.
This one, I'm curious for Oklahoma what John Mateer is going to say. I'm not too familiar with the other two, Eddie Pierre-Louis, offensive lineman, or Taylor Ween defensive lineman. But the only one I'm really curious about is John Mateer. And I know one of the questions they ask, are you ever going to beat Texas?
I'm sure he'll get that question.
I know they have a few years slumped out of that.
He'll get a lot of questions about his hand. Because
what happened with his hand?
After he hurt his hand he was number one quarterback in America last year, and then he hurt his hand, and he was not the same quarterback when he came back.
Gotcha.
He was completely different.
Now we're going to Boss Man's team.
Yep. If you don't know who Boss Man is, that would be Andrew Anderson, the captain of Villains Media Network that gives us this platform to do this on. Some interesting names there once you read them all.
The two that already got me right off the bat is Nick Harbor and Lenore Sellers. What they're going to say and looking to possibly turn the program around, even though, like I said, I don't see it happening too well because of the coaching situation and because we mentioned that's another one of the hot seats, probably the hottest seat in the whole conference, in my opinion. I'm not familiar with Peyton Williams, defensive back. I don't know what do you know about him, if anything?
I don't know anything about Williams, but Nick Harbor is the fastest wide receiver in college football. And he didn't really have that big of a season last year. He started. And Lenore Sellers, who came into the year as a Heisman Trophy candidate, he didn't do much. They struggled offensively, didn't look very good. They got Kendall Briles now. I want to see what these two do in the limelight, knowing that they got a new offensive coordinator and their head coach is on the hot seat. So that's going to be a lot of that discussion.
All right. If you want, we could split these. I can take the first two. You get the last two, or since I'm in Texas, I'll take the two Texas team. You're in Tennessee. You get your rival in Vandy.
Okay. So Tennessee's bringing Deshaun Bishop, the running back, Arian Carter, the linebacker, and Jeremiah Thielander, another linebacker. Now, I will say this. Arian Carter and Jeremiah Thielander are two of the top 10 linebackers in the SEC. And I don't say that begrudgingly. Talent is talent. These guys are good. Deshaun Bishop, one of the best running backs in the SEC, bar none. I like what Josh Heupel's doing here with these three players. These three players are dogs. These are the kind of guys you want leading your program. This is why you bring them to media days.
Now, Deshaun Bishop, has he been there the whole time, or was he another transfer that was brought in?
He's been there the whole time.
What year is he in?
He will be a senior.
Okay. Now, is he not just in the SEC level, but as far as the nation, is he considered one of the top running backs going into the season?
I personally would put him in the top 5 running backs in the country.
I know I've heard of Arian Carter. Not so much Jeremiah Thielander, but I know of Carter for sure. So
Carter was preseason All SEC last year and played with a foot injury most of the season. never missed a game with it. He battled through it, but his numbers dropped off significantly. But
I mean, playing through the pain, it's going to affect you.
But that's what you want, is somebody leading your program. And these are three guys that are prime examples of this is what we want leading our program.
Now, moving on to the Longhorns, the first two that I do recognize, Trevor Gooseby, if I said it correctly. Of course, Arch Manning, who doesn't know him, just with that last name. I'm not too familiar with Colin Simmons. I know Gooseby's probably ranked pretty high. Probably, I don't know. I'm not sure what year he's in, but I know he's on some of these NFL scouts lists as one of the top linemen.
Colin Simmons might be the number one rush end in America. It's between him and Dylan Stewart from South Carolina.
Gotcha. Now, I haven't really heard of Damian Samford, but the other two I have heard, Marcus Ratcliffe and Marcel Reed. I'm not sure what kind of year Marcel Reed, start out with the bang, but I know you got something different you're going to say here in a little bit. But it's going off, past years, they'll start out strong. Yes, they did make the playoffs this past year, correct?
Yep.
Just to kind of, I know it was a low-scoring affair. I think they lost 10-3, was it?
10-7 or 10-9, or it was low scoring. They only gave up 10 points.
And it was to Miami, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So I know that probably left a bad taste in their mouth, and I don't see much changing because just like Oregon, they seem to perform really well, but towards the end or as they get closer, the pressure's on and they somehow always seem to blow it. And that's how I feel about Texas A&M, kind of following suit with that. But what was the thing you were going to say as far as the positive notes that you see coming out of that team?
Marcel Reed.
Mm-hmm.
Hear me, because I'm gonna put some content out there for people to share when I say this. Marcel Reed will be your 2026 Heisman Trophy winner. Clip that. Play it loud and clear on social media. Clip it. I'm a Vanderbilt fan. I'm in Middle Tennessee. I watched this kid in high school at Montgomery Bell Academy. I know his dad, Rod Reed, who used to be a coach at Tennessee State. Marcel Reed will be your 2026 Heisman Trophy winner. I want to see him at the podium. So
now, the moment you've been waiting for.
The moment I've been waiting for. The Vanderbilt Commodores. I tried to predict who they were going to take. I thought they would take Cedric Alexander, Cade McConnell, and Junior Searle. That's who I thought they would take. I got 2 out of the 3 right. Cedric Alexander, who will be a senior, has battled through this. He's been around. He's been through the ups and the downs. He was there for 2-10, and he was there for 10-3. He's been through it. He's a 3-year starter. This kid, this will be his 3rd year starting. Very athletic.
He's entering his senior year, correct?
Entering his senior year. This will be his 3rd year as a starter.
Was he there the whole time, or did he come over as a transfer?
Came in. He's been here the whole time. He was a freshman when they went 2-10.
Gotcha.
He's a baller. Issa Ultra, defensive line. People talk about Vanderbilt doesn't have Diego Pavia anymore. That's true. They don't. But what they do have is a defense that went 10-3 last year, returning 9 out of 11 starters. Utara is one of those guys, is a returning starter. And of course, Junior Sherrill was a Brentwood. Well, came from Nashville to begin with. Has been at Vanderbilt his entire career. He's been there. He's been through the 2-10. He's been through the 10-3. He's been through all the ups and the downs. If you remember 2 years ago, the win that put Vanderbilt on the map against Alabama, remember a specific play, 4th and 1. Vanderbilt lined up in a bunch formation, looked like they were going to run the ball. They snapped it. Diego Pavia steps back. The pass rush comes. Nobody went with the wide receiver. Junior Sherrill is the one that caught the 40-yard touchdown pass from Diego Pavia that sealed the win for Vanderbilt over the number 1 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. He's been there. He's a playmaker. I want to hear his stories about what it's like to go from 2-10 to 10-3 and what his battles have been like. I'm excited to hear from those two guys. We call him SETI. I want to hear from SETI and Junior and what their journey has been like. I think they've got some fantastic stories. And here's the thing. When they go into these back rooms, 9 times out of 10, the Vanderbilt players are the most articulate and the most well-rounded thoughts that you can get out of athletes, because that's the nature of what Vanderbilt is. I'm not trying to blow smoke or pump sunshine or anything. It happens every year that these guys get in these back rooms and do these backroom interviews, and people become enamored with them because of how well spoken they are.
Sorry about that. It was smoky in here.
But those are all the players that are going to be at media days. Should be a fun 4 days. But before we move on to our next topic, let's go ahead and take us about a 1-minute break and hear from our number 1 sponsor, Cocaine Coffee.
You said they had K-Cups, right?
They do have K-Cups.
Because I didn't. Oh, unless I missed it on the commercial.
They're just sold. Unfortunately, they're sold out right now. But you can buy the little pods that you can fill up with regular coffee and put in there as a K-Cup.
Yeah.
So that's absolutely doable. If you want to try out some of that cocaine coffee, go to the website, cocainecoffee.com. Use the promo code VILLAINS15. You get 15% off your order. Again, that's cocainecoffee.com. and promo code Villains15. So let's get back into some things. There was a post today that talked about the hardest places to play in the SEC. We already talked about the tough schedules. But let's take a look at what some of the insiders in the SEC have to say about where the toughest places to play are. Pretty good little graphic right there. I have a problem with it. What do you think my problem is with this?
Well, I'm looking at number 16 there. But here's before you tell me, you express your concerns about the problem. I think what they're not basing this necessarily off win-loss. I think it's the overall environment, like with the fans getting involved. Because if we're going off that, and like I said, I'll let you shed your thing. Honestly, I wouldn't put the Swamp at number 3. I'd put Tennessee at number 3, and I'd put Georgia at number 2.
Ooh.
I'd put Alabama above Kyle Field.
Oh, I wouldn't.
If we're going off overall environment.
I wouldn't.
You wouldn't?
No. Bryant Denny's their fans they sit on their hands. That's not a loud environment at all. Yeah, they're pushing 90,000 people, but that 90,000 people is quiet.
So you're saying, could it be depending on the opponent?
Depending on the opponent, that would have something to do with it.
They're lacking consistency. Now, would you agree, though, dropping Neyland Stadium to number 3 and put Samford at number 2? Because Death Valley, they're undisputed on this one, in my opinion. They're number 1. Whether they're doing bad or good, Death Valley is a very hostile environment.
Absolutely. And don't get me wrong, historically, this is pretty decent, I would say. But if we're going off what have you done for me lately, this is not very good. Historically, this is about right. But let's take a look at what recent history tells us. Recent history tells us a different story. That's interesting. For being an easy place to play, somehow Vanderbilt has gotten to 11-3 at home over the last 2 years.
But again, I don't think they're basing it off the win-loss record. I think it's just the overall crowd involvement. That's what I think that list is.
But here's the thing. What have you done for me lately? 2 years ago, we completed our stadium renovation. And the environment has been absolutely electric. We're bringing fans to the stadium now. This isn't the old Vanderbilt where you had one guy sitting by himself on the visiting side of the stadium. This is, we're selling out. This is a ruckus environment. It's a party vibe, if we're honest. And the whole thing has changed since the remodel. You get the remodel, you change the environment, you put a decent product on the field. Now you're talking a tough place to play. Because a lot of these teams are thinking, old Vanderbilt, you can't get up for them. And now you're running into a buzzsaw for a team that you can't get up for. I think that changes the narrative a little bit.
Well, I think what we have to do now is
if they can keep it up.
Yeah, because you would probably have to look 4 or 5 years down the line because the renovations just happened a couple years ago. I'm guessing they had the renovations done right during the start of the NIL era. Was it?
Yes.
Or, yeah. So, I mean, everyone's always excited about renovations, but we would have to probably revisit that topic to see if the stuff has changed 4 or 5 years down the line to see if those guys' opinions have changed. But I think what probably hurts Vanderbilt, like, yes, there was renovations.
The history.
Done. Well,
there's a long.
No, I'm not even going
there.
off that. I'm forgetting the history part. I think it's the overall stadium size, though, too. I think that's what kind of hurts them as well.
Okay, but let me push back a little bit on that. Okay, Vanderbilt is a small private college.
Yes.
Our fan base is scattered nationwide. It's not a regional fan base at all.
Mm-hmm.
Our fan base is nationwide because Vanderbilt graduates go on and they don't stick around Middle Tennessee very often. So the fan base dictates that we don't have to have 80, 90, 100,000 seats in our house because we can't put that many fans in the stadium at one time. It's logistically not possible. So, yes, we seat 43,000, but that works for us. Whereas a Tennessee, that's a regional thing. You're a 4-hour drive away from every corner of the state, maximum. You're an event. People are going to drive that 4 hours, get a hotel room, spend the night, and you're going to a Tennessee football game.
Mm-hmm.
I get why they have to have that. The same thing with all these other schools. But if you don't have a regional fan base, you don't need that big crowd.
But like with the increasing numbers now, you said it seems like, yes, a lot of them go out, nationwide. However, what's the student section like over there? Like as far as the students actually coming to the game?
The last 2 years they've turned, and this is a problem with the administration. They only put out so many student tickets. And once that section is filled, they turn them away. That's got to change.
Yeah. Because I know one who's great with their student section as far as getting as many ticket outs there. It's a team over in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Yes. If your students are wanting to come to the game, you let them in the damn game. Period.
Yeah.
You don't turn them away. And that's happened a couple times over the last 2 years where Vanderbilt students were turned away because the student section was full. Expand the damn student section. Quit giving the other fan base extra tickets. Give those tickets to your students.
Let me ask you now, because I know obviously the renovations were done. However, it's still how old is the stadium, first of all?
Over 100 years old. It was the first football-specific stadium built in the South.
Now
it's old. It's old.
So what renovations were done? Was there seating capacity increased or just the facilities around the
facilities were?
Okay.
And let me explain that, right? So Vanderbilt is in the middle of Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
It's landlocked. And it's a crowded campus, so we don't have a lot of room for stuff.
Yeah.
So they hired a firm out of Texas, I can't remember the name, to build a basketball operations center and a football operations center. Because the way the campus is designed now is you come out of the football stadium, you got to walk across the street to the football offices.
Yeah.
They wanted to change that. So they tore out the entire south end zone of seating and built a building in that spot with seating on the outside of the building and a dining area for boosters. It's nice.
So let me ask you this then.
And then on the north end zone, they took out the entire north end and built the basketball operations center. Again, outdoor seating on the outside of it. Now you can walk all the way around the stadium on the inside without having to go out in concourse. That's never been like that at Vanderbilt. So now you have the basketball operations center. You have men's basketball is on the bottom floor. In the middle, you got an area that's co-ed, where you have a dining facility, weight rooms, medical rooms, all of that, and it's co-ed. And then the top floor is the women's basketball. It's the largest facility of its kind in North America. And it's two full-size basketball courts on top of a full dining facility. It's wild. They spent a lot of money. They spent $300 million on those two buildings.
All right, so
now you don't have to walk across the street to the locker rooms.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
How far is that stadium from the new stadium that's being built for the Titans?
On the other side of town, probably about 5-6 miles.
Okay, so I guess, not too bad. Has there been talk of the stadium being shared? Kind of like what UNLV and the Raiders do in Las Vegas.
No.
Would they want that? Okay, let me ask you, would you want that?
So, no. You don't take college football off campus. You don't. Because then you're eliminating the ease for students to go to the game and have a good student section.
Well, like my thing is, let's say if they were to share it, you could increase the number of student tickets also being handed out too.
You can increase it the way it is. Stop giving so many tickets to the opposing fan base. Problem solved. Gets less of their fans out, more of ours in.
Because me being stationed in Las Vegas, it took about maybe 20, 25 minutes because, obviously Vegas, there's a lot of traffic.
Right.
From the campus itself to now the Allegiant Center. And even the previous home for the UNLV Running Rebels, which they would still get a decent crowd for. It's like it's on different corners of the whole Las Vegas area.
Yeah.
You got Sam Boyd Stadium basically out in the middle of nowhere, but they would still, get a decent show, not just with people like regular fans, but also the student section. Mm-hmm. Yet they're somehow making it work in Legion Stadium, which is slightly closer. However, the problem with that is you got to go past the strip to get to it, and we know how much of a pain in the ass that could be.
Okay.
But you're saying 5 or 6 miles from their current home right now to the new Titan Stadium, I don't think that would be too bad.
Okay. Here's the thing. You've heard of Nashville Soccer Club, right?
Their MLS team, I assume?
Yes.
Okay.
They built them a brand new stadium. It's on the south side of Nashville. Well, it's kind of on the southern side. It's south of center. But the owner of Nashville Soccer Club, or one of the owners, is a Vanderbilt booster and Vanderbilt alumnus and Vanderbilt Board of Trust member. And when they decided to build the soccer stadium, they polled Vanderbilt fans. While the stadium is under construction, would you want to play your games at Nashville Soccer Club? out of 75,000 votes, the return was 97% no. Our fans don't want it off campus. So, and that's why you don't do that. And I get it.
Who's in charge of selling to the opposing team? Who made that call?
Administration thing. But again, we're our chancellor, who's been here 4 years, Chancellor Deermeyer, our athletic director that's been here 4 years. They can't fix 100 years of problems in such a short time. It's a work in progress, and I commend them for everything they've done. We're not the laughing stock of the SEC anymore. So, but I thought this was interesting. The toughest places to play versus the records of the last 2 years that tell a completely different story. Thought it was interesting. But if you want to, we can start talking about team-specific stuff now of what people have returning. This is just returning production and not count. It doesn't count anything they got in the portal. So let's look at offense real quick. This is what every team in the SEC has returning offensively from what they had last year, and does not count transfer portal stuff. There's some interesting numbers here.
I know one that sticks out is obviously Alabama.
They lost more than Vanderbilt did. Ty Simpson's gone. Jamar Gibbs is gone. Their number one wide receiver is gone. That's a lot of offense. That hurts.
But I'm looking at the last three there. So you got Arkansas, you got Auburn, you got Kentucky. That could be a good thing for them.
Could be, yeah.
Now, Ole Miss, that could also be good news for them, especially with Chambliss returning, in the run they had.
Yes.
Now, the ones that kind of I would say kind of concern me would be the three right next to each other would be Tennessee, Missouri, and Florida, because they're getting right close to that 50% mark.
Mm-hmm.
And so Missouri had the best season out of the three, I think, as far as win-loss. I could be wrong. Am I wrong?
I think you're right. Yeah, you're right.
So, I mean, the other two with the returning one, it's like you could say you're bringing back half the bad, unless the bad left.
Mm-hmm.
That's to be determined.
We know Tennessee's got Deshaun Bishop back, and they got their number one wide receiver back.
And if healthy, Arian Carter.
But he's on defense.
Oh, shit. It's offense. Okay.
And this is just offense.
Gotcha. The one that also concerns me would be South Carolina's. You got over half returning. I'm not sure with the other 42% who you've had to replace.
Right.
Especially with the current coach. I mean, hopefully they could turn things around.
So, with Vanderbilt, though, they lost 67% of their offense.
Yeah.
Now here's the interesting part. They have their number one wide receiver returning. Their number one running back is returning. And their number one offensive lineman is returning.
The big concern I have with them, though, is obviously going to be the quarterback situation.
Quarterback position, absolutely.
Because you got the guy that played backup, as you mentioned earlier, and he was a backup for a reason. Now, I know you said he stepped in for a little bit when Pavia got hurt, I think for a game or two, was it?
At New Mexico State, he started 4 games as a freshman. Blaze Berlowitz did when Pavia was hurt. And then last year, we was blowing teams out. They'd pull Pavia and not even play the fourth quarter. And Blaze Berlowitz, the offense never missed a beat.
But like as you said, a lot of the offense also left too.
Yeah.
And for
the biggest portion of that is Diego Pavia and Eli Sowers. Those are the 2 big missing pieces. So I thought this was interesting. That's how much offense is returning. Let's take a look at the defense. Do you notice anything about the defense?
So Georgia, majority of theirs returned. And they, if I'm not mistaken, they missed the playoffs by 1 game.
I think Georgia was in. Georgia was in, weren't they?
I thought it was Alabama, Ole Miss, Texas A&M.
Georgia won the SEC championship.
Oh, that's right. I might have been thinking of another year. Florida.
It was Georgia, Alabama, and Oklahoma were in the playoffs.
And A&M. Florida, they didn't have the best year, but a lot of people probably say their offense was the reason why.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't know who they replaced that 31% with as far as improving the defense. Texas seemed like they were in green, both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, you mentioned earlier, the thing that made Vandy as great as they were last year, going 10-3, was the defense. And you got, just almost 60% of them returning.
And what's wild about that number is we return 9 out of 11 starters.
Mm-hmm.
So they should be pretty good on defense.
Yeah, it's like we said, the big concern with them is once they get the quarterback established, because I'm pretty sure there's going to be rotating, because there's probably going to be some – they're going to have to figure something out. And Arkansas just like, no, we want to get rid of all the cancers and let's start fresh with this guy.
Yep.
Now, the one that surprised me is Missouri, too. I don't know if they just graduated or left for the draft. The majority of them, they transferred out.
Most of their defensive production left via the draft.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be interesting. I thought these were interesting. But the one that gets me is Georgia. 78% on defense and 70% of their offense.
That's why I had them as number 1. I had we'll discuss that in a later show as far as who the Final Four I think is going to be.
Yeah.
For the Natty. But the one that concerns me also here is Ole Miss. Because, yes, you got Jameis back. But to me, that tells me right there is that they're going to give up a lot of points.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they replace with somebody better. But I think they're going to be a lot of points. So they're basically have to do what the Peyton Manning Colts did, just outscore the opponent while their defense is going to be tired.
Right. You're absolutely right. So you mentioned it. Let's go ahead and talk about how we think the SEC is going to stack up, and I'm going to let you go first since you're the rookie in SEC territory.
Oh, people just go look at the graphic. I go, oh, no wonder why you had these records. So with Georgia, like you said, they really didn't lose much on both sides of the ball, and I think that's going to spell out good news for them. Because if it's one thing we've known about Georgia, is history tells us they know how to reload bigger and better. And it's like every so often they always have that national championship run. Texas, they're another ones that know how to reload. It's just I can't put a finger on why they can't seem to get over that hump, which is right above them in Georgia, whether it's in the regular season or the SEC championship. I had LSU. I think it's going to be a complete turnaround because I know he brought a lot of his players, I'm sure, from Ole Miss, and then you said Levitt's from Arizona State, because just like LSU baseball, they were kind of lacking, but at least they went to the bowl game. Baseball did not do anything. I still got Ole Miss. However, I know I have them at 9-3. I don't have them making the playoffs though. Alabama, this is one I was kind of like they could either be 9-3 or 8-4. I just kind of give them the benefit of the doubt. I also don't see them as a playoff team. Oklahoma was another one I was kind of like tipsy on, but I don't think there's going to be a lot of what do you say? They digress.
Yeah, regression. Yeah, regression.
Regression. Same with A&M. Florida, I think they're going to turn some heads, honestly. Now, I don't see them beating Georgia, obviously. But this will probably be a year to where they're going to start getting noticed again, my opinion. Tennessee, I could have them easily at 6-6 too. Same with the next, 3 teams, because you never know which season's going to show up with them. I just put them there, slightly above. Missouri, I see them as 6-6, same as Vanderbilt. Because like I said, with Vanderbilt, for example, the big concern is the quarterback thing, and it's probably going to show. However, the following season, I could see having a much better record once they have established. I'm sure Blaze, what's his name?
Blaze Berlowitz is a senior this year.
Yeah, so he'll be gone.
But Jared Curtis is the freshman that 5-star #1 quarterback in America that came to Vanderbilt, and yeah.
So yeah, I see Vandy towards kind of like what Georgia did with Gunnar Stockton.
Okay.
I could see that going with Mr. Curtis, and then taking it into the next season. Kind of like, and also same thing with Texas did with Arch Manning when it was him and Quinn Ewers. Mississippi State, I haven't heard too much about them as far as I don't know. I just see them as bottom of the conference along with Arkansas and Kentucky. They're going to be growing pains with all 3. Well, at least the bottom 2.
Okay.
So those are my rookie predictions.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and throw mine up here. I got Texas A&M winning the SEC championship. Again, I'm very high on Marcel Reed. I think he's going to be your Heisman Trophy winner. They got a lot of tough games at home this year. Tennessee's at home. I think this team is a problem. Georgia's Georgia. Again, they return 70% of their offense, 78% of their defense. They're just reloading. Texas, I got them. The talent-wise, they have probably the most talented roster in America. Some people might argue Ohio State, but this is the SEC, and I don't. I think Texas might have the best roster in all of America. All of America. LSU, I don't know if they're ready for the Texas A&M and the Texas, and I'm not sure they're ready for that yet. I have them finishing fourth in the SEC, and I have 4 teams from the SEC getting in the playoffs. A&M, Georgia, Texas, LSU. You're going to have a 3-loss SEC team in the playoffs. I'm calling it today. Oklahoma, I got them 9-3. Me and you are different on Mississippi State. Again, they can score points on anybody. There were a lot of games last year where they had leads in the fourth quarter. They just didn't have any depth to get them over that hump. I've seen what they brought in on defense. They brought in one of the top 10 safeties in America. Any semblance of a defense on that team, and it's going to flip a lot of those games around. I think they go 9-3. I think they're an absolute problem for some people. I got Alabama at 8-4, but I could have easily also had them at 7-5. They got a stretch of games right in the middle of their schedule. Mississippi State, Texas A&M, LSU, Georgia, and Tennessee. They could easily lose all 5 of those games. Easily. I give them the benefit of doubt on one of their games, but I got them going 8-4. I think it's going to be a down year. I think the noise is going to get loud in Tuscaloosa. Again, I'm a big believer in Alex Golesh and Byron Brown. I don't think going from 5-7 to 8-4 is a big jump. I mean, that's 3 games. I got Vanderbilt at 8-4. Some people may say I'm crazy. I think that's our absolute ceiling if everything goes perfectly. That's 3-0 in the non-conference. And then you got winnable games against Tennessee is a winnable game. You're at Mississippi State and you get Ole Miss at home. I think Ole Miss is going to drop off. I don't think they're going to be as good. I think that's going to be ripe for the pickings in Nashville. So I don't think we beat Auburn. I don't think we beat Mississippi State. I don't think we beat Georgia and Alabama. I think every other game on the schedule is winnable. Ole Miss, a little bit of a drop-off. I still got them going 8-4. Tennessee, they don't even know who their quarterback is going to be. They got a true freshman coming in off of a hand injury that made it. He missed half of his senior season with a hand injury. That's, by all accounts, ahead of a second-year guy in George McIntyre, who was a 5-star. What's Tennessee going to do? Again, they have a strong running game. They have they have some strong defense. I don't think Missouri's going to be that good. Ahmad Hardy, there's only so much he can do. 6-6. South Carolina, that's a 3-game. That's a big improvement to go 6-6. What can Kendall Briles do with Lenore Sellers and Nick Harbor? there's a lot of possibilities with that connection. Florida, I think they're a couple years out. What Billy Napier did down there is not okay. He left that cupboard empty. In Kentucky, I'm having a hard time finding wins for them. I think they get one SEC win, and that's at Arkansas or against Arkansas. I don't think either one of them teams is very good. So that's my predictions. People are going to call me crazy over Vanderbilt at 8-4, but when you look at the schedule, I think it's doable. And we mentioned the quarterbacks. Let me go ahead and throw this up there real quick. Who the projected quarterbacks are, since we've mentioned a lot of them. Alabama, Keelan Russell. Be a first-time starter. He's never started a game in college football before. Arkansas, KJ Jackson. I don't know much about him.
Was he a transfer, or did he come over from Memphis too, or?
I don't even know. That's my problem. I don't know much about Arkansas.
Let me look him up real quick while you do continue on.
Byron Brown at Auburn. What he did at South Florida, impressive. Can he do it in the SEC? Again, I think they go 8-4. I think that with the way he operates in offense, I think he's going to be very good. At Florida, Aaron Philo was a backup at Georgia Tech last year. He backed up Haynes King. When Haynes King was injured, Aaron Philo started for him. So he's got some experience. Interesting to see what he does down there. Georgia, you got Gunnar Stockton. Started every game last year. Started a game in the playoffs. This will be his second year as a starter. Expect him to take a big leap. Kenny Minchie at Kentucky. Me personally, I think Kentucky made a huge mistake here. They had a quarterback. His name is Cutter Boley. He came in and was all SEC freshman team. Was asking for $2 million in NIL. They told him he was asking for too much. And then went out and got Kenny Minchie, who was their 8th choice at quarterback. They brought in 8 different quarterbacks to Kentucky. Kenny Minchie was the 8th one. He finally signed with him. This guy was beaten out by a true freshman at Notre Dame last year. In 2 years, he's thrown 29 passes. I think they made a mistake. I think they should have kept Cutter Boley. LSU, Sam Leavitt, if he's healthy, this LSU team is going to be legitimate. But he's got to be healthy. That the word is he's fine. He'll be available when fall practice starts. That was a good move for LSU to go pick him up. Mississippi State, you got Kamario Taylor. He's earned it. I'll let you take the other side.
I mean, you're welcome to take him because I don't know much about, say, Austin Simmons out of Missouri.
So Austin Simmons, at one point was selected in the Major League Baseball draft. He decided to go play football at Ole Miss. He also played baseball at Ole Miss. He was a relief pitcher in 2024. Oh, no, relief pitcher in 2025. Earned the starting job at Ole Miss last year and then got hurt. Now, here's the interesting part. Trinidad Chambliss was never named the starter at Ole Miss last year. They never took the starting position away from Austin Simmons. They always said if he got healthy, he was their starter. I don't know what he's going to do at Missouri. I've always thought he was a better baseball player than he was a football player. We shall see. Obviously, John Mateer, his name's known nationwide. Is he healthy? What's that hand going to be like? Trinidad Chambliss. You said you had some medical stuff. You wanted to talk about him with the whole lawsuit with the NCAA. I'm surprised he's still here.
So about that is, and this is one of the guests I'm probably going to have on our show later on, is a Division II coach out of Midwestern State. His name is Coach Renner. Mm-hmm. We've actually developed a pretty good relationship. I actually might see him this weekend. He invited me to his football camp that they're hosting up at Midwestern State in Wichita Falls. So they had a vote that went on early July, I think right before the 4th, that Division I was doing. And he says, well, the interesting thing about Division II, they almost have twice the amount of teams. Mm-hmm. But they're also doing a vote, and he says, because of the lawsuit, he said that there were people, like the NCAA had to do layoffs because of all the lawsuits. Like, the manpower is shrinking. So what they did to counter that, to stop getting sued, they're voting on it, and it's most likely going to pass. And like I said, he'll go more into detail once I talk to him and set a date for him to come on Sports Empire eventually. Is they're adding a 5th year all across the board.
I think that's already been approved.
For Division I, yes.
Yeah.
So, but Division II is also going to do the same vote. Mm-hmm. And he says the way, if his history has taught us anything, Division II has usually followed suit with Division I. Mm-hmm. But like that was the whole big thing, is adding a 5th year, and it is because of that the NCAA was letting off the attorneys, a lot of them too, because of the lawsuits. They can't pay them because there's no money. The NCAA was losing money quite a bit. Mm-hmm. So they're like, let's stop losing money and let's just add a 5th year, and that's it. No more exemptions on it, because you said you got some people that'll sit out a year because like maybe they go home for a year because they had a family crisis. They need mm-hmm. to take care of their family, whatever the case may be. But like the clock was always ticking. Mm-hmm. So, but now with this 5th year, that should kind of, I guess, help with the situations or scenarios like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, I mean, he'll be a great addition for the show. And he was actually also a Louisville alumni.
Okay.
He played linebacker at Louisville, and he's an old school defensive minded, mentality coach. Mm-hmm. And like I said, you'll like him because I know the questions you'll have, he's going to answer. Like it'll be a great show. So once I talk to him this weekend,
okay,
because he said he's going to come on.
Okay, South Carolina, of course, they got Lenore Sellers, pairing him with Kendall Briles. We'll see if that marriage works. Lenore's has got all the tools. He's got the size. Let's see what Kendall Briles can get out of him. Tennessee, they're projecting Faison Brandon, the true freshman, to come in there and take that job. For me, I think George McIntyre, I don't know. They got 2 former 5-star quarterbacks, George McIntyre, Faison Brandon. Faison Brandon is clearly more athletic. We'll see if that works. Texas, obviously. Who else you got? Arch Manning's your guy.
He's a junior now, so this has to be the year
he's
that
a senior.
He proves why. Oh, he's a senior.
Yes.
He's already played 2 whole years already?
I'm pretty sure he played backup with Quinn Ewers and then 2 years as a starter.
I thought last year was his full year as a starter.
I
Let me
thought he
double
done
check
started.
that.
Yeah, double check that because I thought this would be his third year starting. I could be wrong. And while you're looking at that, Texas A&M, Marcel Reed, he's my Heisman favorite personally. And at Vanderbilt, here's an interesting one. I think Blaise Berlowitz starts game 1 against Austin Peay. At some point, Jared Curtis is the quarterback of the future. The problem is he was given a list of things that he needs to work on during the summer in order to be that guy. And one of them is speed of the game issues, which you're not going to get during the summer. So in order for him to work on that, you can't put him in the Lions den when he's got issues with the speed of the game.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to learn that by getting reps and stuff. So I think Berlowitz is going to start the first game, probably the second game. And I would not be surprised to see Curtis take over in like game 3 or game 4.
So I think he might have been redshirted 1 year.
Okay.
So he's been with Texas for 3 years. However, I think he spent 2 of those years under Ewers. Because last year, Ewers was a rookie for the Dolphins when Arch Manning started his whole year. Because even though he's been there for 3 years, they have him as a sophomore right now. I'm sure that'll change to junior this year.
He did not play in 4 games like his freshman year.
Yeah.
He played but didn't play in 4 games.
No, it just shows like he went 2 for 5 for the whole season.
Yeah. He played, but he didn't play in 4 games, so he's able to redshirt.
And I think the same thing happened last year too, because he had under 1,000 throwing.
Last year?
Or sorry, not last year. The year prior, 2024.
That's crazy.
Well, let's see if it shows the games played.
That's crazy.
Game log. Okay, here we go. All right, so obviously you started last year. I think Quinn Ewers got hurt a couple times. So 2 of those games he didn't even play in. There's only 2 games I saw him starting. Like, now, do you have to start the game for it to count? Or like if you go in the middle of the game, just say because somebody got hurt, does that count too? Or no?
It counts as game played. It doesn't count as a game start. It counts as game played.
But you're talking about starting though, right?
I thought it was his third. I thought he had been a starter for 2 years already.
Because looking at these numbers here, it looks like for his 2024 campaign, look at the numbers, it looks like he might have started only 3 games there.
Okay.
Because Quinn Ewers was still the guy there.
But he still played. He still played in a lot more games.
But like it wasn't like starting.
Yeah. If you play in more than 4 games, you cannot redshirt.
So I'm guessing most likely he'll probably be a junior this year.
Yes.
Because they still have him listed as a sophomore. Don't know why, but they got to update their stuff.
Right.
Worldwide leader in sports, my tail.
I think we've gone through all of our slides and hit on every topic. Yeah, we've gone through all of our slides. We've hit on every topic. Anything else you want to talk about with the SEC?
Well, I expect big things, for example, from Texas, because at this point, they need to live up to it now. I mean, yes, they they were in the. I don't think they've been in the 12-team playoff yet. They did it was a 6 or 8 before.
The 14.
Oh, it was just 4 starting out.
Yeah.
Arch Manning has to deliver, I think, this year.
I think so too.
Otherwise, you could.
If they don't get in the playoffs, that seat for under Steve Sarkisian is going to get very, very hot.
Yeah.
The same thing with Shane Beamer. If they don't show marked improvement, that seat's going to be very, very hot. I think right now the hot seats in the SEC are Shane Beamer, obviously, Sarkisian. I think Kalen DeBoer's seat is hot.
Well, I would say Sarkisian's is warm, maybe.
Yeah, Sarkisian is warm. I think Kalen DeBoer is getting warm.
Beamer's is hot. DeBoer's hot. Let me ask you, if for some reason Vanderbilt doesn't get a bowl game, you think Clark Lea's seat will start to get warm?
No, he just signed an extension.
How many years?
He got paid.
But like 3-4 years?
He's here for life. But as long as we go to a bowl, I won't say as long as we go to a bowl game because he's trying to build a program.
So he'd been here 5 years already. 5 years he's already coached, correct?
21, 22, 23, 24, 25.
And you said 3 out of those first 5 years, they weren't winning years. There was no bowl games, correct?
Right.
And like with this one starting out, like I said, if they don't make a bowl game,
the expectation is a bowl game.
Yeah. And if he can't deliver, would it start to warm up a little bit? I know he signed the extension, but
no.
So you would think it would have to be like back-to-back losing seasons for his seat to start to get warm.
For his seat to get hot or to get warm, everything that could go wrong has to go wrong, and you end up 3-9 or 2-10.
Which he's already done twice, you said.
Right. If he goes 5-7, there will be chatter, but it won't be significant.
Alrighty.
He's safe. He may be the safest coach in the SEC right now.
Well, Kiffin might be safe too.
Well, this is true. With $100 million, you got to be safe, right?
Yeah.
But as far as coaches that have been there for a while, Clark Lea's safe. There's no question about that. He's safe. Josh Heupel, that's another one. If they don't get 8-9 wins, there's going to be a lot of talk in the state of Tennessee. A lot. It's already a lot. So it will be a fun year. I'm looking forward to it. But I appreciate you doing a deep dive with me and looking into this. I know it's not your forte, just like the Big Ten's not my forte. But once we get into it,
I would even say the Big Ten's my forte because I've been focused on what an incomplete team I had to witness last year on all levels.
Mm-hmm.
Because like it's like one of those where everything can go wrong. Well, whether it was just a much better opponent, or I know there was times to where 4 of our starting linemen were out with injuries, but to me that didn't really matter because there was probably maybe one lineman for that whole squad that was worth the damn. He was carrying the line, but then he suffered a really bad back injury. He came back later, like after missing a few games, and it's like it happened again. I mean, The only bright point I was seeing was and even though he missed a few games with concussion, was Nico. and that's crazy to say because after him there was nobody. They had a guy there that he eventually went to like a Division III school in the transfer portal because he had no business being. I think that he should use him as a filler thing, like when you're making hot dogs and you ran out of beef. So yeah. We had no receivers. I don't think the receivers ever broke over 500, 600 yards receiving. Same with the running game. There was some bright points on the defense, but when you're out there most of the time, I mean, they would set them up sometimes for success. They just couldn't convert because we had crap. It was straight crap. It was probably one of the worst seasons I had to witness with UCLA, but there's times they had the same record before, but they were more competitive before. They actually had more pride then.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of like with Mississippi State, as we were discussing earlier, there was a lot of close one-loss games that could have gone either way. But their passion was there. Last year, and it should have – I know it started the year before when we got a coach late because Chip Kelly decided to go to take the OC job in Ohio State, which to me they should have got rid of him sooner because he was digressing bad. And that was like one of the issues I had with the way management was going about things. Like, oh, he's doing crap. Yeah, let's go ahead and sign him to another extension. Like, no, you don't do that.
I got you.
Yeah. It was a frustrating year for sure.
I've been there and done that.
Yeah.
But it's been fun.
Yes.
We'll do another one for Big Ten Media Days. We'll cover the Big Ten. We'll hit that up. I'll have to look at the calendar and find out when their media days are. We'll do the ACC and the Big 12 as well. So, and we'll do it the same way. We'll drop the video the morning their media days start. We'll record it and everything, get it all set up, and have the same format. I think this worked out good.
Yeah.
So, but if you've tuned in to watch this, give us a like and a follow on our social media pages. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Currently, we're listed on all three of those as the Golden Broom, but on August 1st, that will change to Sports Empire. We are doing a rebrand. We'll still be under Villains Media Network, Villains Media Group. Is it Villains Media Group or Villains Media Network? Okay.
Network.
Sometimes I don't know what to say. Villains Media Network. Thank you, Andrew Anderson, for providing that for us. Thank you to Cocaine Coffee for providing this opportunity to do this for you. And if all hearts and minds are clear, I'm on my way to the couch.